Hello, everyone. My name is Jerry Wise, and I am a life and relationship coach. I have been in the helping professions for 40 plus years, and I work a lot with adult children of narcissists, adult children of alcoholics, and generally adult children of dysfunctional families. I also do work with families, couples, individuals, and helping them to gain self-differentiation and a greater chance at having intimacy and happiness in their life. This video today is entitled Going No Contact with Narcissistic Families. It certainly can apply to other relationships as well, but that's kind of my area of family systems and family dynamics. The concept going no contact is a term used by narcissistic abuse sufferers to break free from the games, the clutches, the abuse, the terrorism, the lies, the hurts, and the gaslighting when no limited relationship can be negotiated. In other words, when you have family members that no matter what you do, there is just no way to negotiate any kind of a reasonable relationship. Not even a great relationship, but I mean not even a reasonable one. The no contact goal is to be emotionally and physically detached. And I work in the area of self-differentiation coaching and work with clients, which again is a goal of learning to be more detached, not as enmeshed. And many times when there's abuse, in fact all times when there's abuse, narcissism, mental illness, drug and alcohol addiction, the family gets so enmeshed with each other. Again, some family members may cut off, but they cut off because they're so enmeshed. And so I do work with folks to help them to gain greater detachment. A no contact strategy is to work towards emotional and physical detachment. There are other videos and other folks online who share lots about this physical work. There's a physical and emotional part of it. You know, what do you do when they call you? If you've already, how do you set your boundaries better with them specifically? There's a lot of decent videos out there that will help you in doing that physical work. What I haven't found as many of is how do you do the emotional work of detachment? And are there things that we can do to help break that trance, break that cult-like trance, break that enmeshment that we have had with the family. So I would refer you to some of those other videos about doing some of the specifics of going no contact. This video is not exhaustive on no contact. There's lots that could be said about no contact and how to do that. But I wanted to share some specific emotional dynamics that I thought might be of help to you. And I specialize in that emotional work. I coach clients to do the work of practicing non-attachment and to practice detachment. And that's not rejection, that's detachment. This video is for those who have decided the only option remaining for them is to go no contact with parents or family members who lack insight, empathy, maturity, sufficient emotional health to have a respectful and non-abusive relationship with you. That's who this video is for. We don't take no contact lightly. It is a definitely not an easy technique. It's not an easy practice to live, but it may be necessary given family dynamics and the abusive type of relationship that we've had with families. I remember one client talking about her father, and she was in the military, and by the way, she just got a promotion, which is wonderful, as an officer. She was in her adult life seeking after the approval of a father who had been sexually abusive, physically abusive, emotionally abusive, disrespectful in so many different ways. But she could not stop yearning for him and his approval and being loved by him. And so going no contact was an important part of her work in dealing with that relationship. Her father was not a person that you could negotiate any kind of empathetic, mature, respectful relationship with. And so she began to heal after she began to work at a no contact level. Well, where do I begin when we talk about no contact? And even like the client I just mentioned, do I tell them or do I not tell them? Do I announce it? Do I tell other family members? There's lots of questions, and I think everybody has their own dynamics, and that's why it's good to have a coach or a guide to help you how you're going to handle the divorce, how you're going to handle the no contact. If this particular client tells their dad or indicates she wants no contact with him, what does she do about, now they're not married, her parents are not married, what does she do about telling her mother what she has done? Because her mom might bring up her dad or talk about her dad or say, well, have you talked to your dad lately or whatever? Who do you tell? And there's a lot of questions around that. I can't answer all those dynamics for you today. And I do mention that when I do these videos are to speak to people in general. They may not speak to your specific issue or your set of circumstances. Sometimes I'll get emails and people will say, well, that's not my situation. I said, well, of course it's not your situation. I was speaking in general about these kinds of things. Certainly if I was working with you, I wouldn't advise you to do X, Y, or Z. But in the video I did, because for many people that would be a helpful thing. So, do I tell them? Do I announce it? Do I get a billboard? Do I take out an ad in a newspaper? Do I go online? I think I advise people to check with their inner child. And if you want to know more about your inner child, you can see John Bradshaw's books, Charles Whitfield's books, Margaret Paul's books for inner child awareness. Checking in with your inner child and what they need, and then checking with your inner adult and what he or she needs in terms of going no contact or announcing it. Now, my preference, but again, this does not fit for everyone, my preference is I like to declare self in a way that affirms my maturity, my preferences, and my strength. It affirms my resolve, and I want to utilize my courage. Much like Brene Brown's books, in which she talks about, being courageous and how it does take courage to self-differentiate. And so I like to declare self, and that's a term used in Bowen Family Systems theory, declaring self with others in a non-reactive way. So, if you can, tell them your plans and your boundaries. Person to person, maybe in a public place. You could do a letter, you could do email or text, and then I've had some people do even a letter from the attorney. One was so abusive, they would call the police on this client. They would make up lies that this client was stealing from them. This is her parents. It was just madness. It was just total madness. And so she had to do it from a distance, and a letter from an attorney was an appropriate response. If you cannot tell them, because there will be too much retribution, too much abuse, too much danger, shaming, or emotional drama, then you can choose to live it versus declaring self, and just live self. And that's appropriate also when you're not able to do that kind of one-on-one declaring self with someone who is not healthy. Additionally, when we go no contact, we want to begin to be very strong about and to strengthen giving up the need to defend ourselves or to defend ourselves to anyone. When someone asks, the aunt says, well, your mother is so upset, I don't know why you're not, coming to Christmas. I don't know why you've decided to cut off from her. Or if your mother, or the target of the no contact, father, mother, brothers, cousins, grandparents, all kinds of folks. And they ask why. Because it is my choice and it is my preference. I need not give any reasons or excuses. I've done the math. It is my choice and my preference. Because I'll tell you, your math and their math is not going to be the same. So there's no sense talking about the math. Stop talking and arguing about the math. They're going to believe 2 + 2 = 5. You're going to believe 2 + 2 = 4. Now, how long are you going to argue about that difference in math and defend your answer? Mathematicians say 2 + 2 = 4, Dad. No, 2 + 2 = 5, son. You need to... And then we'll argue for years over this math difference. Giving up the need to defend yourself says, I've done the math, and this is what I've come to. And my math says this. And if somebody says, well, how can you do this? Well, if I need to tell, an aunt says, well, how are you choosing to not have any contact with your father? Well, Aunt Mary, I'm sorry, I have no other choice. I wish I did. But that is my preference. And then others will ask, well, what will the family think? Well, I don't know. What they have always thought. And that actually the only people involved are me and the people that I'm going no contact with. Those are the people who are involved in this relationship. No one else needs to have all the reasons or all of those things. And again, the family or others are going to think whatever they're going to think. And if they thought bad about you before the no contact, they'll think bad about you after the no contact. If they thought good and respected you before the no contact, hopefully they will think good of you and respect you after the no contact. An additional aspect to going no contact, which is a painful aspect for many people, and we need lots of support when this happens. There may be collateral damage to relationships, particularly when those relationships are not the target of the no contact stance. Nephews, nieces, siblings, aunts, uncles, grandparents, grandchildren, friends of family. There can be a lot of people who are collateral damage when a no contact strategy is employed. And this can create a lot of grief and sadness. Because let's say you have an abusive son who is alcoholic and addict, has 3 young children. You want to be in contact with your grandchildren that you love dearly, but he and his wife are so toxic, so mean, so out of control that they're disrespectful, abusive, to the point of raging or physical. What are you going to do? And so we will many times stay in that relationship a lot longer because we have grandchildren involved and we don't want to lose them. And then we will put up with a lot of abuse in the process. And on the one hand, I completely understand that. I don't criticize anyone who wants to stay in contact with these collateral relationships. On the other hand, I don't know whether it would be better in the long run, playing the long game rather than the short game, but playing the long game to where I want to be as healthy as I can be as a grandparent, which will then be an inheritance I give to my grandchildren, even if I cannot see them. Or I can try to stay in their lives while taking all the abuse and all these other things. Then that sends another message to the grandkids. So it's a complicated systems, emotional dynamics. And again, I would get a guide or an anchor to help you with that. There can be a lot of grief work that will need to be done. You may have to do some intentional funerals for the losses to be able to do a no contact. I have a video out on doing intentional funerals so that we can let go of folks that we need to let go of so we can be healthy and safe. And many times it's even a matter of being safe and not hurt or damaged. And I know how difficult it can be to give up grandchildren. I know that from personal experience. For a while, it was very touch and go and very difficult and very painful. But we have to let go to survive emotionally, because I know, like me, it was driving me crazy. I was just going insane, and I thought that's not going to help my granddaughter if I go insane about these things. And so we want to survive emotionally so that we can be there for them even in the long haul, in the long game. And I have seen the pain of grandparents whose narcissistic kids use their kids or grandchildren as weapons or pawns in a relationship drama. And again, I encourage, play the long game. It's hard, but play the long game rather than the short game. Look to the future and do the things now that you can be proud of when you do have contact with your grandchildren. Let's say you don't see them for 3 years, and then they're getting older, and then there's a restoration of some sorts of the relationship, and they go, well, why didn't you, I didn't think you cared about me. Well, let's have that talk now. I absolutely cared about you the entire time. I loved you and was heartbroken because of us not being able to see each other. It was not my preference that happened, and that I have always loved you, and here's the journaling, here's the diaries, here's the gifts I wasn't able to give to you, here's the, and here's the whole story as to what we've had to do during this 3-year time of absence. And so they know, oh, well, you did love me during that time. Absolutely. It's just your parents were not well enough to allow that to happen. Continuing with going no contact, we want to plan our strategies. What are your strategies for love bombing, denial normalcy, flying monkeys, resistance, pushback, smear campaigns? The situation where if they do this, I will do that. So you have your plan for a strategy of going no contact, because many of those things are going to happen. Oftentimes we don't get out of a family easily. it's sticky. Families are very sticky, and it's difficult to pull out from the family. And so it's going to take some strategies that are going to happen during this time to counter what the family's doing. And I think of one client right now who's been 3 years no contact with his siblings, who have been very abusive and scapegoating him. And even now, there will be times where they will reach out to him. They will try to do this. They'll send gifts. They'll send cards. They'll do all kinds of things to pull him back in. And again, the plan is, if they do this, I will do this. Families will stop by unannounced and unwelcomed. You'll tell them, I want no contact. They will ignore that. They will try to contact your children indirectly and do a proxy kind of contact with you through the kids, and the kids have a hard time saying no. Or they'll do it through a spouse, or there's all kinds of ways families will not respect our boundaries and our choices. And in fact, if they could do that and respect our boundaries and choices, we probably wouldn't be going no contact. So that's the reality. If they could do that, we wouldn't probably be here. But they're not able to do that. The great thing about a family systems approach, and if you do reading and learning about family systems, and there are lots of good books out there on family systems to help you understand your families. Jenny Brown, Growing Yourself Up, Roberta Gilbert, Harriet Lerner. There are lots of good books out there on family systems that can help you predict systems processes, predict behavior, predict how someone's going to act, so that you can be prepared because you understand them better and you understand how they operate better, and you can predict their responses and their behavior. And that can be really helpful in staying no contact and in maintaining your self-differentiation. So do some work on learning about family systems. I've got a number of videos. I've probably got 160 videos out there now, and almost all of them involve family systems theory and work. Remember, going no contact is the ultimate boundary setting. No contact is the ultimate self-differentiation move. When the narcissistic abuse from family of origin has been present for so long, this is the self-differentiation, the ultimate self-differentiation move that we may have to make. And this move is an adult intentional choice to act for self. Please work on not doing it out of reactivity. Deal with your reactivity first, then deal with your choices. And that's what I help coach folks to do. That's what these books talk about also. And Brene Brown is another good one. Andrea Schera, S-C-H-A-R-A, Mindful Compass is a good book. Deal with your reactivity first. Don't act out of your reactivity. Act out of your non-reactivity. And make a choice for going no contact out of non-reactivity. Going no contact does not resolve emotional enmeshment. It may get me out of the family, but it doesn't get the family out of me. This work continues. And remember, you can get out of the family. You want to get your family out of you. And I think that's true whether someone goes no contact or not. We want to get the family out of us. And in more normal families, we don't need to hate the families or reject the families. We just don't want to be the family. We don't want to only be the family and be the family super self. And partake in the family super self and partake of the already established roles that you should function in and be. So remember, if you're thinking, well, I'm enmeshed with my family, I'll fix that by going no contact, it doesn't fix that. That's a whole nother different and separate work. You may need to go no contact because of abuse, dysfunction, toxicity, danger, harm, all those kinds of things. But we have to work on living the life of detachment and practicing non-attachment. We have to do that. Additionally, remember, each family member uses every other family member to balance his own dysfunction in the family. Let me say that again. Remember, each family member uses every other family member to balance his or her own dysfunction in the family. That's true in business, true in churches, in mosques, synagogues, any organizations, PTA, and families as well. So, if you pull yourself, expect changes in the family and shifts in the family if you exit in a no contact way. That's going to destabilize the homeostasis, the stability. That's going to, in other words, you have a mobile where, all these things are attached by a string. And if you pull one mobile off, one part of the mobile off, it shifts all the other parts of the mobile. That's the same with families. It's going to shift all those processes. And so the family may then find another scapegoat. They may choose another golden child. The target of the no contact may become the victim. They may become a persecutor. Different roles are going to change and shift when you exit the family, because all of their functioning is dependent upon all the other people's functioning. And so they've got to make that shift. And I think of no contact disrupts this fitting together process of the family. Another way, if you remove the supply, if we're the narcissistic supply for a narcissist, and you remove yourself from the supply, that's going to disrupt the fitting together of the narcissist and how he operates or she operates. Immature cutoff or reactivity doesn't disrupt this fitting together. It's just a continuation of the fitting together, only in a different form. So we want to do a non-reactive going no contact. Going no contact in dysfunctionally toxic families is a strong rejection of your family role and the role you play in the family. It is also a powerful rejection of the way the family sees things, because your going no contact says, I don't see it that way. I'm not going to live it that way, and I don't see it that way. I don't see the reality that way. I think about another example is the family is a play. Everybody's got their role. Everybody has their lines. Everybody has their costumes. And really, there are costumes in families. There's roles. Costumes in family can include tattoos, hats, canes, walkers, all kinds of costumes that we use in families to reflect our role. And so we play this role. We have this play. There's an audience watching it. Now, if you take one of the main players out of this play and remove them, what do all the other players have to do? They've either got to pick up for and say the lines of the player that got removed. They also have to play off each other differently because we've removed that main player. And so the play has to go on, but it has to have a new way of going on. And so, and I've been in plays before, operettas, and things like that. And if somebody forgets their line, we all have to go into a new mode of how we're going to function right now. the family does the same thing. I hope that analogy might help. In a relationship with a narcissist or a very toxic, crazy-making family, going no contact is a powerful declaration of my rationality. In other words, this is how I see it rationally. This is how I rationally view this objectively. You may disagree with me, but this is how I see it. Many who have grown up in dysfunctional families, adult children of alcoholics, adult children of narcissists, adult children of abuse, experience a cult-like life within their family. Don't talk, don't feel, don't think, don't trust others outside the cult or outside the family, don't have any beliefs other than what are the family beliefs, and they've grown up in those kinds of cult-like families, especially when there's been abuse, narcissism. It really is a whole cult in and of itself. It just may not be religious. And then some families are connected to religious cults, and their family becomes a religious cult, and you can be shunned and excommunicated if you do not follow the family and religious line. And so going no contact may be necessary so that you can begin to talk and feel, think, and maybe trust others outside your family, and trust that the world is not quite as uncaring, unloving, and untrustworthy as you think. The world is not a perfect place, but there are some good people in it. Going no contact can provide you with breathing room emotionally and mentally to trust yourself, to think for yourself, to feel what you feel, to trust others, and to talk to others, and become a secret revealer and a truth teller regarding your own reality and your own life. Not only have we learned these rules, but in painfully dysfunctional and abusive families, we have accumulated experiences which result in complex PTSD. There's complex PTSD and there's PTSD. PTSD is a traumatic experience and tends to be more time specific. When I had three people broke into my house wielding guns, broke into the house at night before I was going to bed, came in, there was a robbery and a pistol whipping, and I did get a black eye, and it was quite horrific, and I thought this could be my last night. And my mother, my 90-year-old mother, was involved. It was quite horrific. That can be a PTSD event, which it has been, because then for a long time, whenever I started to go to sleep, I would feel this panic, because it was right when I was starting to go to sleep and that this big boom happened and the door was busted in, and it was horrible. I'm doing much, much better now. That was a number of years ago. But that's PTSD. CPTSD is prolonged trauma over time. Abuse, neglect, especially during childhood, and narcissistic abuse, and that's day after day after day. It could be small things where you are criticized or shamed every other day, time and time again. And over time, this builds this complex PTSD that we can experience. Often we fear going no contact because we distrust the world. Because we think, we've been trained to only trust your family, don't trust anybody outside of it. The toxic family is who we know. All these other people we don't know. and we feel like damaged goods. We feel worthless. We feel nobody understands us, and I don't even understand myself. We can have dissociative symptoms of depersonalization, where I'm outside my body, or think of I'm not there. I don't feel totally present. Or derealization. We kind of just seem like we're observing our life rather than being in it, and more. We can feel caught between going no contact versus staying in the lion's den and just hoping the lion doesn't attack. And I've talked to a lot of people who feel caught in that way. Do I go no contact, or do I stay very small in the lion's den and just hope I don't get attacked over here with my family? We want to identify our triggers if we have CPTSD and we're going to go no contact, because those triggers will probably be triggered during a no contact strategy and process. Having too much stress can be a trigger. Anger outbursts by others in our family can be a trigger for CPTSD. There are lots of triggers, and there are some good books on CPTSD. There's even a good workbook I like, CPTSD. It's called the CPTSD Workbook. I can't remember the author right now, but I think it's a good one. Because you want to identify your triggers when you're going to go no contact, so that you can be very aware of what's going on and what's going on with you emotionally. We also want to work at slowing down our emotional process. We tend to run way out in front of ourselves, and we want to learn to stay with ourselves when going through a no contact experience with others. Because we have been so often so focused on the other that we really have to shift that focus over to being aware of ourselves, inner bonding, focusing on ourselves, our awareness of our feelings, our bodily experiences, etc., because that will help with maintaining the no contact strategy with abusive folks. And all of these things I work with clients on. Certainly in this short video, I can't go into all the details of that. I am trying to I've got plans of working on a 12-week master class that hopefully will be maybe this summer. I'm hoping to get it worked on, and I will be, if you write to me or go to my website, www.jerrywiserelationshipsystems.com. If you go to my website, you can send me an email to sign up for my email list so that I can let you know when these things happen and when the masterclass starts. And I hope you will contact me below. You can contact me at jerrywise5@gmail.com. I hope you will join my YouTube channel, which is Jerry Wise Relationship Systems. And then if you subscribe, then every time I put up a new video, you'll get notified of that in your email. I want to say I hope this video has been a help to you. Please watch my first in this series, Preparing to Go No Contact, and the additional video, which is Self-Care for Going No Contact. And that will be the third in this series. Excuse me. Please contact me if you'd like to have one-on-one coaching. Join this YouTube channel. If you'd like to donate so that I can make more videos, I certainly would appreciate that. You can donate to PayPal or just contact me if you'd like to do that. I so want to thank you for watching today. I appreciate all the comments and the kind words that people have sent to me. I just can't tell you how much I appreciate that, and all my viewers. I have the best viewers and followers in the world. So I want to thank you again and have a great day.